Channel 5.
This is the CBS Evening News. I'm Charles Kuralt, sitting in for Dan Rather. Good evening. President Bush said today he's doing everything he can to try to free American hostages. But he cautioned against hope for a quick solution in the Middle East. With a new death threat coming up tomorrow against American hostage Joseph Scipio, U.S. warships are moving in the Mediterranean and the Indian Ocean. In Beirut, the pro-Iranian Hezbollah movement warned of retaliation if the United States takes any military action. The signs are that, at least for now, the United States and Israel are pressing a diplomatic strategy. Bob Simon in Israel begins our report.
Israeli officials are saying tonight that the key to the situation has moved from Beirut to Tehran. They believe that Hezbollah's decision on the hostages will be dictated by Iranian leaders who can be influenced by American pressure, not so much because of U.S. warships, but because they want to open a window to Washington. Washington and Jerusalem have closed ranks now, according to Israeli officials. They say U.S. envoy John Kelly exerted no pressure when he made the rounds today. Foreign Minister Aaron said the dispute is history.
The United States and Israel stand united in the fight against terrorism and are following a common strategy in that fight.
Defense Minister Rabin revealed that Israel sent what he described as hard intelligence evidence to Washington early this year, indicating that Colonel Higgins had been murdered last December. United Nations Undersecretary Marek Goulding came to the area today to try to establish what happened to Higgins, who was serving with UN troops when he was kidnapped. Meanwhile, Israelis are continuing their interrogation of Sheikh Obeid, who's been told nothing about the purported hanging of Higgins on Monday. Obeid's main fear, according to his interrogators, is of being extradited to the United States. No fear, say the Israelis. They've just begun.
Such interrogations are not quickies, and we have to give our interrogators a chance to go very thoroughly through each and every item they're interested in.
Ranking Israeli officials say they're hoping to get the sheikh on video appealing to his Hezbollah brethren to make a deal. One thing that's changed over the last few days is the nature of any potential deal. What started as a parochial Israeli attempt to get 2 or 3 of its own soldiers out has been transformed into a proposal involving every hostage in Lebanon. It's a package deal now, all or nothing. Bob Simon, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
President Bush continued emphasizing diplomacy today, fighting off increasing pressure on him to act, to strike back, even from the visiting foreign minister of Bahrain.
Not only condemnation, but action should be taken to stop such acts.
What action are you going to take, Mr. President? Are you considering anything?
You can just rest assured that we are going about our business in a I'd say a prudent way.
The president said his hands are tied by sheer ignorance about the hostages' whereabouts.
We're dealing with less than a full deck when it comes to information.
The response of our country to terrorism has been, frankly, pitiful.
Several senators think we ought to know more, that the government hasn't spent enough on developing informants and tipsters.
I have been very concerned for some time about whether we are allocating enough of our intelligence resources to what I would call on-the-ground human intelligence.
And there were calls from the Senate floor, punish the terrorists, especially if they carry out their threat against hostage Scipio.
And that means, Mr. President, so there's no mistaking it, the use of force to extract retaliation, retribution on anybody who is guilty.
So far, what the administration has done is pull warships out of ports and from other missions, moving them in the direction of Lebanon.
Planning any kind of military action?
You're prudently planning. Like that's all I got to say about it.
This afternoon, Secretary of State Baker went to the Pentagon for a briefing on military contingencies. The president says he's leaving no stone unturned as he waits for tomorrow's deadline and the fate of hostage Joseph Scipio. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, the White House.
Joseph Scipio is held by a group calling itself the Revolutionary Justice Organization, one of several terrorist factions in Lebanon which owe their allegiance to Iran.
Iran has influence with the hostage holders in Lebanon. Iran should use that influence to obtain the immediate, unconditional, and safe release of all the hostages.
This could be the man who holds the key, Haj Muhtashami, Iran's Minister of the Interior and the head of Iran's terror network. He helped establish the pro-Iranian groups in Lebanon which operate under the name Hezbollah.
Ambassador Muhtashami was the guiding light, or at the helm, of the earlier Hezbollah groups.
Muhtashami is believed to have engineered the suicide bombing of the Marine barracks in Beirut. Shortly after that, he was himself the victim of a terrorist attack, a letter bomb which left him disfigured and which he blames on the U.S. and Israel. Today, Muhtashami is a leader of the hardline faction in Tehran, which just last month convened a meeting of terrorists from Lebanon.
I don't believe that these groups could exist and carry on operations to the degree that they are presently capable of doing without not only the operational and intelligence support of Iran, but also financial support.
Most U.S. experts believe newly elected President Hashemi Rafsanjani would like to rein in the hardliners and end the hostage crisis.
It's in his interest to do a deal if he can, but I don't think he's in a position to at this point in time.
Of all the pro-Iranian factions in Lebanon, the group holding Joseph Scipio is considered by U.S. intelligence to have the closest ties to Iran. If Scipio is executed tomorrow, that would greatly increase the chances of U.S. retaliation against Iran. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
The original aim of Hezbollah, after it was formed by Iran in the early 1980s, was to create another Islamic republic in Lebanon. All that has changed now, with Lebanon splintered by civil war and Iran trying to find its way after the death of Ayatollah Khomeini. Alan Pizzi in Damascus reports on where that leaves the militants of Hezbollah today.
Somewhere beyond this Syrian checkpoint in West Beirut, where violence and chaos is the norm, there are indications that the kidnappers of Western hostages are in it for the money. There is a strong belief that the hostages are no longer being seen as weapons for retaliation, but as bargaining chips in a desperate money game.
These hostages are really their capital. I mean, that's their business. You know, that's what you do. That's if you're really holding hostages, that's your source of revenue.
It was the Iranian Revolution that inspired and financed the radical Hezbollah faction. The death of Ayatollah Khomeini and the need for Iran's new government to deal with the West means Tehran wants businessmen with attaché cases more than bearded gunmen in blue jeans.
We do know, for example, that a delegation of Hezbollah went to attend the funeral of Khomeini. And what they found there was that they really weren't terribly welcomed.
And that in turn will make Hezbollah's dream of an Islamic Republic in Lebanon less attractive to the population which supports them. Iran has already extracted payment for hostages in the form of arms in the Iran-Contra affair and loan payments from the French. No one else has been able to achieve anything on the hostage front. Syria has more than 30,000 troops in Lebanon, but cannot, or will not, even penetrate the Shiite areas where the kidnappers lurk. While observers believe the Syrians know more than they admit to about the hostages, they may be as powerless as anyone else to do anything about it. With both force and diplomacy seemingly ineffective, money may be the way to secure the hostages' freedom. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Damascus.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, Gary Reeves on the questionable future of some futures traders in Chicago. And Peter Van Sant with the answer to the obvious question, can this plane be landed safely?
Norman, what's that?
Nothing, honey.
I asked a simple question. Norman, are you eating something?
It's nothing, honey.
He lies like a dog.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch. Crisp golden flakes glazed with sweet honey and real roasted peanuts.
Irene, what's that you're playing?
Nut and honey. Two can play this little game.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch.
I got dirty an awful lot when I was little. What am I doing here? You know this.
You're playing baseball.
Yeah, that's right. It came natural to get dirty. Johnson's baby shampoo has been great for my hair all through my life. It's strong. It makes my hair look clean. It makes my hair feel clean, and it's gentle. Look at this kid's hair. I think it looks good.
Johnson's baby shampoo, now also with conditioners for extra control.
I shower 4 or 5 times a day. It's never made me cry.
Johnson's, for the life of your hair. The day may come when every cooktop, range, and oven will let you clean up this easily. But isn't it nice to know Whirlpool cooktops, ranges, and ovens will let you do it today?
How strong is extra strength Tums EX? Heartburn strikes, Tums strikes back. Heartburn's gone that fast. Tums EX, twice as strong, twice as fast as regular Rolaids.
Federal racketeering charges, usually reserved for fighting the mob, were brought today against alleged white-collar criminals at the nation's two largest futures exchanges. Gary Reeves reports on dozens of high-publicity indictments in Chicago.
Attorney General Richard Thornburg and FBI Director William Sessions announced a string of indictments today for racketeering, mail, and commodities fraud against 46 brokers and traders on the Chicago Board of Trade and the Mercantile Exchange.
The activities uncovered at these exchanges, the largest of their type in the world, simply cannot and will not be tolerated. The FBI used extraordinary means to detect extraordinary fraud.
Today's indictments are the result of a 2.5-year investigation where FBI agents posing as traders wore hidden microphones to document patterns of illegal transactions. Prosecutors accused the traders of making prearranged deals and using kickback schemes to make personal profits at the expense of their customers.
The underlying predicate for the charge is the systematic theft of customer funds through customer orders by the brokers and traders who are alleged to have engaged in that here today.
The government says this is the most wide-ranging use to date of the Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization, or RICO, law against white-collar crime. The pits where treasury bonds, yen, soybean, and Swiss francs are traded have been labeled as criminal enterprises, but only individuals are implicated, not the exchanges themselves.
We emphasize that the Chicago Board of Trade does not condone violations of its rules or any abuses of customers.
If the government wins racketeering convictions, it may seize extensive assets and impose jail terms of up to 20 years, stiff potential penalties that encourage many traders to plea bargain. It also prompted others to complain of heavy-handed tactics.
Most of the practices that they're now labeling criminal are practices that are customary in tradition. They've been handed down from generation to generation.
The indictments cover a small percentage of the exchange's 6,000 members, but for traders, the anxious waiting is not over. The investigation is ongoing, and more indictments are expected. Gary Reeves, CBS News, Chicago.
Off the coast of Florida today, the U.S. Navy conducted its first successful submarine launch of the new and expensive Trident II nuclear missile. A test launch in March ended in failure when the missile pinwheeled out of control. The captain of a Soviet spy ship monitoring today's missile launch radioed greetings to the U.S. Navy after he was warned not to get too close. The Soviet Union suffered another disaster today. Part of the main post office collapsed in the city of Kiev, raining tons of debris onto a rush hour crowd below. Soviet television said a number of people were killed. The post office was built in the 1950s. It had been scheduled for repairs. Its facade, reportedly, had been weakened by heavy rain. Communist leaders of Poland put down a party revolt today and forced the election of Interior Minister Czesław Kiszczak as Prime Minister. Some members of the communist majority in Parliament earlier had joined with the Solidarity opposition to try to block the nomination.
Subaru would like to apologize to the residents of Casa Grande, Arizona, where we drove the all-new Subaru Legacy at speeds averaging 138 miles per hour, 24 hours a day for over 60,000 miles. That's about 2.5 times around the world. Until we set a new world speed endurance record. If you're listening, Casa Grande, thank you.
What's in a name? The Kemper name means the security of solid insurance protection for your life, home, business, and auto, even reinsurance protection. But Kemper's more than insurance. It's Kemper financial products, like mutual funds, annuities, and money market funds, working to bring you better tomorrows insurance, and investments. Ask for them by name. Kemper.
Whole grain nutrition is important, but of these leading cereals, only one is made with 100% whole grain. Only Wheaties. Just ask Carl Hershiser. Better get your whole grain.
Better eat your Wheaties.
Now a great cherry taste comes to Maalox Strength. New Maalox Plus Cherry Cream Tablets with the medicine doctors recommend most and a cherry taste you'll love. New Maalox Plus Cherry Cream Tablets. Strong relief for all your Maalox moments.
Congress heard still more testimony today about how former housing and urban development officials and other well-connected Republicans helped themselves and their employers make big money from contracts meant to supply housing for the poor. Terrence Smith reports.
As housing activists demonstrated on behalf of the poor outside HUD offices around the country, a Senate committee was told that Republican insiders had made even more money than previously reported off federally subsidized projects.
Our data now shows 20 different consultants were paid in excess of $5.7 million for lobbying services on 51 projects.
Some of the top earners, former HUD official turned consultant Joseph Strauss, political consultant Paul Manafort, ambassador-designate to Luxembourg Fred Bush. Congressional investigators also documented the accounting gimmicks that permitted developers, many of them former HUD officials, to milk astronomical profits from low-income housing. Example, Windsong Apartments in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Former HUD officials Philip Wynn and Philip Abrams, acting as developers, invested less than $15,000 of their own cash and reaped more than $2 million in profit. The key? They stacked subsidy upon subsidy.
What makes this very lucrative is people that knew how the system worked could take the combination of the rent subsidies, the fair rent market value, the tax credit system, and go out and merge those two programs together.
In some of the earlier hearings that have been held, we'd identified the rats. Now we're starting to identify the cheese that attracted those rats.
A non-profit public housing developer urged the senators to take action.
Really punish them publicly. Send a message out there, or this is going to just continue.
Both the Senate and House are promising legislation this fall to ensure that the abuses do not continue. The bills are expected to tighten procedures at HUD and to attempt to redirect federal housing funds to their original intended recipients, the poor. Terrence Smith, CBS News, Washington.
The season's second hurricane has showed up. It is threatening the northeastern Caribbean. Warnings for Hurricane Dean are up from Guadalupe to Puerto Rico.
Don't miss the Firestone Radio Spectacular. It's your chance to get top-quality Firestone radios in selected sizes to fit hundreds of cars, light trucks, and vans, domestics and imports, all at amazingly low prices. So hurry to the Radio Spectacular at your participating Firestone retailer now, before we're all tired out. Firestone, where the rubber meets the road.
Only Red Lobster could create an event this big. Lobster Fest 89. Lobster choices like nowhere else, starting at just $7.95. Get ready to savor sweet rock lobster or luscious Maine lobster. New platters like lobster and crab. Great lobster dishes starting at just $7.95. Kids dinner $1.95. Don't miss Lobster Fest, now at Red Lobster. Friday through Sunday, it's our weekend special. Steak and shrimp just $10.95.
This diver has a thin, powerful seal, but it's not on her mask, it's on her dentures. This thin, powerful seal is virtually airtight. Extra hold fast teeth. Nothing gives you a hold closer to real.
How fast does Anbesol relieve toothache pain? Before you can say.
Anbesol.
Denture pain? Before you can say.
Anbesol.
Anbesol stops minor mouth pain on contact. Anbesol and maximum strength Anbesol.
A CBS News New York Times poll out tonight indicates some shifting in public attitudes about abortion since the Supreme Court ruling last month made it easier for states to restrict a woman's right to choose to have an abortion. 74% of nearly 1,000 people we polled last week said abortion would now be an important issue in their voting decisions. Only 58% said that in June. 2/3 in our latest poll said the government has no business preventing a woman from having an abortion. As the abortion battlefront now moves to the state legislatures, national correspondent Phil Jones reports tonight on the intensified lobbying to sway emotions and votes.
You will witness the ultimate act of violence. This child will be destroyed before your eyes.
Both sides have now resorted to the most gruesome psychological warfare yet to provoke grassroots outrage in the abortion debate.
And now the abortionist is reaching into the uterus with the grasping instrument to dismember the child.
This anti-abortion tape dwells on the fetus as a human life, aborted after 20 weeks, leaving what they describe as a pathetic pile of human rubble.
It's not a philosophical thing, it's women's lives.
But the pro-choice tape emphasizes government intrusion into a woman's right to choose. They argue that most abortions occur early.
This is the contents of an emptied uterus after an 8-week abortion, before which 50% of all abortions occur. It is clearly not a baby, despite what anti-abortionists say in their propaganda.
Since the Supreme Court chipped away at abortion rights in the Missouri Webster case, the debate has become even more emotional.
It has totally convulsed American politics.
The Supreme Court decision upholding more restrictive abortion law has energized pro-choice and pro-life forces. Both sides claim support of grassroots America. But in states like Florida, where the legislature will meet soon in special session to debate abortion, both sides are running scared.
They weren't angry at all before because they didn't believe it. Now they not only believe it, but they're willing to work at it.
In Florida, abortion supporters have been stirred into action. Money is pouring in.
This was $50 from somebody in Miami.
Fear and anger have replaced complacency.
They're taking away a religious choice, they're taking away a privacy choice, and I can't allow that to happen.
In small home strategy meetings, abortion rights supporters are preparing to do what they have never done before, to play political hardball.
We're single issue. We work only to keep abortion a legal and accessible option for women and their families.
To me, it sounds like they're hysterically trying to rejuvenate their troops.
The anti-abortion troops who have dominated the grassroots debate on abortion for the past 16 years now hope for further victories at the state level, and they are redoubling their pressure on governors and legislators. The politicians are scrambling.
Are you having political problems with this issue?
I think everybody is.
There's no good in this issue right now for American politics unless you just happen to like mud wrestling.
The anti-abortionist strategy, education, stressing the consequences of abortions.
33 years ago, if abortion had been legal, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you. I'm an adopted child.
We're talking about the rights of human beings, all of them, including the unborn.
This is a debate that has returned to all the old symbols, fetuses and coat hangers, with activists on both sides trying desperately to capture the ethical and political soul of the nation. Phil Jones, CBS News, Jacksonville, Florida.
President Bush and members of the Senate agreed today on a compromise bill to prohibit discrimination against the disabled in the workplace or in public accommodations.
Oh, this is great. No fruits, no nuts, no marshmallows. You call this a cereal? Looks like a bestseller to me. I mean, there's nothing here but flakes. It's so simple. But I like it. Hey, maybe that's the point. I mean, they'd mess it up if they added other stuff to it. Nice cereal.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Corn Flakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
Ever since Sanka decaffeinated coffee was invented, our competitors have been riding on our coattails, coming out with their own. Well, we've continued to take steps to make Sanka even better. We've moved ahead again with a natural decaffeination process that only we have, using pure water and effervescence to remove virtually none of the coffee flavor from the bean. And that means the free ride ends here. Sanka ground decaffeinated coffee. You can't beat the original.
Most car accidents happen in a showroom. People buy the wrong car. They want a car as quick as a Saab, as roomy as a Saab, as safe as a Saab, as reasonably priced as a Saab. But they don't test drive a Saab. Don't buy the wrong car. Visit your Saab dealer for a test drive. It's fun, it's free, and there's no risk involved. Right now, you can lease a fully equipped Saab 900 for only $235 a month.
A federal jury in Washington ruled today that willful misconduct by the crew contributed to the shooting down of Korean Airlines Flight 7 by a Soviet warplane in 1983. All 269 people on that plane were killed. The jury decided the crew knew the plane was off course. The jury awarded $50 million in punitive damages to the families of some of the dead. The verdict opens the way for families to sue the airline individually. KAL says it will appeal. Another airplane story. When it was over, passengers said things like, "I've had worse landings on regular flights, and it was kind of fun." But for quite a time today, while an airliner planned an emergency landing in North Carolina, there were the makings of another disaster. Peter Van Sant reports.
Piedmont Flight 1489, with 94 passengers on board, was on approach to land at Charlotte Douglas International Airport when the flight crew realized it was in serious trouble.
It did get an indication that the nose gear and the right main gear were down and locked, but that the left gear was not.
The flight was diverted to Greensboro, and the passengers were told that the left wing landing gear was stuck.
No hysteria whatsoever. A lot of visits to the bathroom.
The flight crew circled for more than an hour, trying every mechanical way to get the gear down.
The door was open and we could see from time to time people on the floor trying to crank the thing loose.
The pilot also did some aerial maneuvers in an attempt to use gravity to force the gear loose.
We went this way and this way and this way and this way, and it's frightening, you know.
The maneuvers didn't work, so the pilot made a dramatic attempt to knock the gear down by bouncing along the runway.
I think the maneuvers to try to throw the gear down were probably more abrupt than the landing, and all you got was a few oohs.
With his options and fuel running low, the captain decided it was time to bring the crippled 737 down. He landed on his good gear and brought the troubled left wing down onto the runway.
There wasn't one person in the whole plane that cried or yelled. It was wonderful.
Everyone escaped using emergency slides. No one was seriously hurt. Late today, federal investigators found evidence that the landing gear problem was man-made.
They found a tire chalk that was found inside the wheel well, wedged between the two tires of the left main gear.
Tonight, the 94 passengers who flew aboard Flight 1489 are lucky to be alive. They owe their lives to some skillful flying and a lot of luck. Peter Van Sant, CBS News, Greensboro, North Carolina.
That's the CBS Evening News. I'm Charles Kuralt, sitting in for Dan Rather. Good night.
This is CBS.